Querida gente del mundo whisky, nos encontramos en la ciudad de Dublín. Gracias por la invitación de la empresa Pernod Ricard Argentina. Estamos en Jameson, junto a los miembros de la Whisky Malta Argentina. Vamos a pasar un momento inolvidable junto a nuestros amigos a recorrer esta prestigiosa destilería y continuar nuestro viaje por Irlanda. Bueno, y como pueden observar, aquí tenemos las botellas de Distillery Edition, nuevas de Jameson. Tenemos la de Blender Dog, tenemos también la Distiller Safe y la Cooper Crows. Son botellas que están para el mercado europeo y para los mercados duty free, pero el año que viene llegarán a la República Argentina. Bueno, querida gente del mundo whisky, esta lámpara que pueden ver acá, la tenemos también en la franquicia de nuestro amigo Esteban González en la ciudad de Villa Constitución. Es una lámpara igual, que es esmerado en hacerla para todos los miembros de la Whisky Malta Argentina y los socios del Museo del Whisky que pasan por Villa Constitución. Aprovechamos para mandarle un saludo a Carlitos Marrone y a Esteban González, nuestros amigos de Villa Constitución, que los estamos extrañando muchísimo en este viaje. Estas botellas antiquísimas de Jameson, 3 estrellas y 5 estrellas, que datan de principios de siglo. Son unas botellas únicas y tienen un valor enorme de colección. Son botellas que rondan en los $100.000. Estamos subiendo aquí al primer piso de la destilería Jameson. Vamos a comenzar el tour.
Now, at the time Dublin was in its boom, population was actually growing. After all, it was the second city of Britain and Ireland.
Vamos a agradecerle, antes de irnos de Jameson, al amigo Kevin, que nos ha atendido como todos los años de una manera maravillosa.
Well, hello everybody in Argentina. You're very welcome to Jameson Distillery. I've just given a tour to Miguel here. I hope you've enjoyed it. As you say here in Ireland, Forturo.
Querida gente del mundo whisky, bueno, aquí recorriendo este hermosísimo shop que tiene Jameson. Bueno, aquí tenemos la línea nueva de Red, Green y Yellow Spot. Tenemos de 12 años y la versión NAS. Este Middleton que lo hemos tomado ayer, que es un vintage, realmente un producto increíble, en un precio de 180 euros. Aquí tenemos el 28 años en 1975 euros. y el 1973 de Midleton aquí, 5.000 euros. El 20 aniversario de Midleton, 6.000 euros. Mi preferido de Rebread de 21 años, la línea Powers, también aquí en esta destilería. Aquí podemos observar el Rebread de 15 años. El 15 años está a 100 euros y el 12 años 60 euros. Acá está el precio del 21 años, el que hemos tomado el año pasado, 190 euros. Y por aquí todo el merchandising de la empresa, desde cinturones, valijas, bolsos, camperas de Jameson, pasando por las remeras y bufandas. Aquí tenemos las miniaturas de Jameson, de Red Breast, son todos pack que están entre los 20 euros y 35. Este Jameson Bowstreak de 18 años en 200 euros. Un Black Barrel aquí en la destilería, si bien es de litro, cuesta 50 euros. O sea, a cambio nuestro estaría rondando los 3.500 pesos. Y en el Museo de Whisky o en cualquier lugar de Argentina se consigue mucho más barato que en la propia destilería. Bueno, nos despedimos de aquí, desde Jameson, y seguimos un largo camino visitando destilerías por Irlanda. Querida gente del mundo whisky, bueno, llegamos después de tanto viaje a esta centenaria destilería que es Bushmills y quiero que nos acompañen a compartir este hermoso programa.
So I want all of you to take and throw the whiskey from the barrel. I'm going to demonstrate how to do it, and then we'll be doing it one by one. You put it to the barrel, just slightly, cover that on the very top. It basically acts like a straw. Take it out and put it in your glass, and then open. The whiskey's in the glass, ready to be drinking. However, this is very different. Somebody was using this before. Use this tool. So you put this until you hear that, and then take it out, and the movement like that. There you go. There's whiskey in it. Yes, see? Yeah. Toast together. So guys, yeah. So raise your glass, and what I'm going to say, guys, when we drink, we relax. If you relax, we fall in sleep. If we sleep, we commit no sin. If we commit no sin, we go to heaven. So guys, let's have a drink this whiskey and go to heaven. Okay. Sloncha.
querida gente del Mundo Whisky. Estamos en Bushmills, ante este silencio, con el amigo Ben, un amigo que ya nos ha recibido en varias oportunidades en esta destilería. Ben, unas palabras y nos puedes decir qué hemos tomado.
So Miguel, welcome to Bushmills Distillery. We're currently in the warehouse number 2. We're drinking our first whiskey, a lovely 10-year-old matured in a bourbon cask. We just got the lovely taste of it. We've done a toast for all of you guys here. And what I'm going to say, greetings to Argentina. Okay?
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. So Bushmills Distillery itself established legally in 1608. Distillery actually didn't exist at that time, but license was given to Sir Thomas Phillips, local landlord, who had the rights to collect the spirits and eventually to resell it. So this is the very first important license. And then we have the 1784, where company was established. The very first record related to the distillery are dated back to the 1740s. The distillery is quite nice, everything grows, sales grows, whiskey are flowing, but in 1885 we had a big fire who destroyed whole distillery, nearly the whole distillery, and then we were rebuilt within next nearly 2 years. But whiskey production was carried over within a few months, but the whole buildings and everything was re-established within 2 years and ready to produce a lot of more good whiskey.
Ben, ¿con cuántas variedades cuentas de producto?
So we had quite a lot. We have quite a lot of whiskey. I'm going to actually show you, starting from the very new whiskey we produced in 2015. That's the Red Bush, the young 4-year-old blend whiskey, beautifully matured in the bourbon cask first fill. We have our classic cornerstone of our family. We say Bushmills we call original, the white label, also the blend. A lot of people like this one. If you ask local people, they love Black Bush. I call it the best blended whiskey in the world because of the quality, not to mention the flavor. But flavor is very personal, you know how it works. So this is the sherry-based whiskey, 8-year-old blend. Then we go to the single malt. So single malt 10, first single malt, you call it classic single malt, isn't it? It is actually the proper Bushmills taste. You have that malty character, fruity character. You have honey, vanilla, caramel. It's really, really nice. We have another one. This is a full bottle now. This is called Distillery Reserve, 12-year-old single malt. This one is available only in the distillery, so you have to come and visit us to see this bottle. Then we have premium single malt, the very first 3-wood whiskey here in Bushmills, 16-year-old, mature in the bourbon, sherry cask, completely separate for 16 years. Then it's married together. We marry those two whiskey together and finish in port pipes. Beautiful, beautiful single malt. And then we have another 3-wood whiskey, 21-year-old single malt. This time we keep whiskey completely separate in bourbon and sherry cask for 19 years until we marry them together and then finish in white wine Madeira cask for the last 2 years. Then last year we introduced a whiskey called Distillery Exclusive, the very first whiskey in the whiskey business matured in the acacia wood. So this one again, you have to come and visit us to see this whiskey, and we produce only 12,000 bottles of it. Whiskey which is matured first in the bourbon cask, and then sherry cask, and then acacia finish 1 year. This whiskey is sold here only, but the strength of it goes up to 47%. So there's a very interesting factor about this whiskey. Hasn't been chill filtered, so that means a lot of more flavor. And then we have the few whiskeys there. This is the duty-free collection. We start with the sherry cask steamship. Some airports you can buy, definitely in Dublin, definitely in Belfast. The second one was the port cask, you can tell this one is 1 liter, this is the 700 mils. So the third one, we introduced 1 liter bourbon cask, and the last one, rum cask. So we go from 1 liter to 700, 1 liter, 700. So next one, if you produce, is going to be 1 liter. Very successful range of our whiskey, but only sold on the duty-free shops, most likely in the airports only.
Ojalá algún día podamos tener esta marca en la República Argentina, Ben.
Oh, well, yes. What can I say? We really appreciate Miguel helping us to be in Argentina. We'd love to see Bushmills to be sold in Argentina, but certainly Miguel helped us to get more interest of the Argentinian people to find Bushmills or their drink, the proper, the fantastic, the best whiskey in the world, hopefully. So thank you very much, Miguel.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to start with the youngest whiskey. It is called Black Bush, and it is number 1. Black Bush, as I explained to you in the cask store, is a blended whiskey. So it is about 80% malt, 20% grain blend, the corn spirit, and matured in the Oloroso sherry cask for 8 years, okay? So typically, whiskies from a sherry cask will be very full, very fruity, very rich, and very spicy. So when you're tasting whiskey, the first thing I'm sure you all know is that you use your nose. So when you nose Black Bush, you should get really, really rich fruitcake flavours, really, really pleasant. It's very, very full. And when you taste the whiskey, initially you'll get a kind of soft, silky texture. It's very, very warm. So if you'd like to try that, go on ahead and let me know what you think. I think it's very Christmas-like in its taste. Reminds me of Christmas time, and it's nice and spiced and warm. We call it Black Bush because of the distinct dark colour that the sherry cask gives the whiskey. So it's always carried the name Black Bush. It's one of our most famous whiskies that we produce and one of the most popular worldwide. It goes well neat with a splash of water, or very popular in a cocktail with ginger ale. Okay, it's called black and ginger. Now what we recommend when drinking whiskey is adding a tiny drop of water. When you look into the glass of whiskey, you can see the oil around the glass. And when you add a drop of water into the whiskey, that disperses the oil and you'll get so much more aroma and flavour from the whiskey. We tend not to recommend adding ice because ice freezes the oil and you'll just get the sting of the alcohol. So add a tiny drop of water, give it a good swirl, and see how the dynamic changes. It's very, very rich, nice and smooth. It's quite powerful, it's quite a hot whiskey. 10-year single malt in the middle is our green label whiskey. You can notice in comparison with Black Bush, it has a much more golden and mellow colour. So that is because it is a 2-wood whiskey. So what I mean by that, the majority of the bottle is matured in the American bourbon cask. We finish the whiskey by adding a little whiskey from the Spanish sherry cask. So they complement each other very, very well. Makes it nice and balanced and takes away a lot of dryness. So you'll find that when you nose this whiskey, you get almost a nice ripe fruit scent, quite honeyed. It's very, very light. And that does translate into the flavour. It's a very, very smooth, light whiskey. It's got beautiful hints of vanilla, caramel and chocolate. This would, aside from Black Bush, this would be one of my favourites. So if you try it and see what you think, but it's very, very light. Is very, very golden and mellow, and the sherry is much deeper and amber in colour. So when you're out and you're drinking whiskey and you're looking at bottles of whiskey, you can identify the bourbon cask will give you a much lighter, golden, sparkly kind of whiskey, and the sherry casks are much deeper and darker and ambered and warmer. So the 12-year single malt, you can tell by the colour, it is matured in this sherry cask, the Oloroso sherry cask from Spain. So the majority of the bottle, most of the bottle is from the sherry cask, and a tiny bit of whiskey is from the bourbon cask, just to finish, okay? So it's exactly the opposite of the 10-year single malt. The flavour that this whiskey carries, it's got hints of apricot, peach, and a slight kind of fudge overtone, and it's got a very soft, nutty finish. Now this is a very special whiskey. You may not have seen it before. It is our Distillery Reserve, okay? It is exclusive to the Bushmills distillery, and we do not export it. We keep it special for the visitors of our distillery. Vineyards have reserves and things too, so this is our reserve. So the flavour profile of the 12-year single malt, you'll get subtle sherry notes, a lot of fruit, it's quite ripe, it's quite citrusy on the nose. But when you drink it, you should get a kind of peach, apricot, really rich fruit flavours, and a subtle marzipan almond overtone. This finishes really well, almost has a kind of crisp red apple finish. And it would be one of the most popular in 3 whiskey tasting.
Bueno, querida gente de Mundo Whisky, nos despedimos de Bushmills, esta centenaria destilería, hermosísima en realidad para recorrerla, es muy recomendable, y nos vamos con todos los obsequios que nos han dado. Es para ustedes, la querida gente de Mundo Whisky.